here because some people in the 19th century decided in a little town in Florida they had to have a beautiful church. It was as beautiful as people in that time could make it. They knew where the Holy City was, and the Holy City was not Jerusalem, it was New York. And they could take a boat up the coast and see what they were doing in New York and come back to this little town and build a copy. There was stained glass windows, pointed arches, an altar where an altar is supposed to be. All of that Catholic renewal that was happening in the church at that time happened also in our little town. That shaped me, the beauty of that place, the beauty of the liturgy that we celebrated. And as I was brought up in the church, we were taught, we're Catholic. We're part of the Catholic Church. We're just like the Catholics, except we purified the church of all of its corruptions. Maybe you heard that. Maybe you heard those exact same words, were words you used. But what was missing in the picture? All of the corruptions, well, you can think of all the corruptions of the medieval church and how we purified those, but Mary was absolutely gone from our church. There was no image of Mary. There was Peter. There was Andrew. There were all the saints in the windows up and down the aisles. But no Mary. Now, we were taught, yes, people in the Episcopal Church pray the rosary. No one ever taught us to pray the rosary. Yes, there are sisters and brothers in the Episcopal Church. We never met one. It was something out there that made us Catholic as long as we didn't do anything about it. We knew we were Catholic, but if you begin to back up and realize what we may have been saying, we have purified the church of all of its corruptions, and look at what is not there. Mary is not there. Is she a corruption? Is she a corruption of the church that had to be purified out of the church? Certainly that was implied. I'm not sure I connected those dots. But simply the absence. Went to seminary. Oh, first went to Crypt. Went to Crypt. One of the talks at Crypt was about prayer. You can pray the rosary, it won't hurt you. Well, okay, it won't hurt us. We could pray the rosary if we wanted to. Go to seminary, the General Seminary of the Episcopal Church, where it was a high church seminary. Is there any image of Mary in the chapel of the seminary in general? No, there's not. Mary absent there at what considered itself the premier seminary of the Episcopal Church. No Mary. What does that say? Is devotion to Mary simply an added extra that might be tolerated, as we heard in our talk about Chesterton? Is devotion to Mary simply a tolerable additional icing on the cake that one might pursue as if one wanted a little extra devotion added to their liturgical life? Or an image of Mary, an added extra that you could put on the wall in your church and make reference to if you wanted to prove that we're just like the Catholics, because there is Mary also, without a real devotion. As I was looking for seminaries, we took a visit to Nashotah House. And it happened to be a time when the Anglican Catholic dialogue was going on, and there was a dialogue there being hosted at the same time. I remember standing in line for dinner with John Guest, and his point that he made to us was, is Mary in any place to hear our prayers? Could Mary hear if we said the Hail Mary? Could Mary respond if we opened our hearts to her. In the Episcopal Church, you might say maybe yes and maybe no. But for Catholics, it's not an added extra. It's not something that is just over and above that one might add as a spice to your other devotions. The question is not so much, could Mary hear us, but how does her absence from us wound her heart? How is her absence in the church that gave birth to us? Does that wound her heart also? As I left the Episcopal Church, I gave away so many things that I thought, oh, I'll never need this again. I don't need Kenneth Kirk anymore. Somebody could use this. I don't need a tippet anymore. Get rid of that. I'll never wear this funny-looking thingamabob, my surplice anymore. I'll give that away. But as I thought of coming here today, I thought, well, I'm going to call up the priest of the Episcopal Church that I gave these things to. I wonder if anybody would care if I brought this in on a tippet today. Will I offend anybody? And I think what it reminds me of is that Mary's heart is wounded, but she does care. Care about the Episcopal Church, because certainly even when she was absent from our hearts and absent from our devotions and absent from our lives and absent from our liturgies, absent from our churches, she still cared for us, still prayed for us, was still concerned about us, still wanted her church to be made whole again. And it is through Mary's prayers that we are here. And it's not finished. Her prayers are not finished. Her heart is not healed of all of its wounds. And she still loves those we've left behind, who may not now even know her son, much less know her. She loves them and cares for them and prays for them. Her Immaculate Heart is wounded for them and grieves for them. And as she prays for them, as she prayed for us to bring us here, let us also love with a heart like hers those who are still left behind, and remember them in our prayers and not turn our backs, but keep our hearts open as hers is until all of us are gathered together again in the church of her Son, for which she prays so much.